Representative Devin Nunes, a Republican of California, said he believes the warrant used to spy on a member of the 2016 Trump campaign was 100% fraudulent and called on President Trump to declassify all related information for the American public to see whether there was an effort to frame then-candidate President Trump. Speaking about the alleged use of an informant on spies on Trump's campaign during the Russian investigation, Nunes told Fox News that what could be even worse if there were informants that were being run into Trump campaign and their associates before July 31st, the known start of the inquiry. While Nunes, in his capacity an intelligence chairman, has sought information related to the genius of the investigation and recently has referred dozens of names to his counterparts in the Judiciary and Oversight Committees to use their task force to expand the inquiry, the Justice Department has been resistant to fulfill all his demands.
Nice to see you, Maria. Thank you.
Yeah, I have here the FISA warrant in my hand, and it's incredible the number of redactions. Every page is blacked out, Congressman, and I want to ask you about that because you basically said, look, this has to be declassified in order for the American people to understand. Tell us why.
Well, it's kind of like Groundhog Day. If you remember a few weeks ago when I was in New York and on your show, we were talking about the heavy redactions that were done to the House Intelligence Committee's report that actually had the information on what Russia was doing in the election. However, it had been totally redacted so the public couldn't see it, while in the meantime the media was essentially attacking the Republicans' work. Well, now here you have another situation where with the FISA that we fought so hard to make sure the public is understood that Clinton paid for dirt was used to get a warrant to spy on an American citizen using our secret counterintelligence capabilities in this country. So now, if I can't see it, but you held it up, I think roughly 75% of that FISA that came out last week that look, and we're glad this came out for the public to see, but at the same time, there's so much that's redacted, Maria. And if you notice what the left and the mainstream media said, because once we were exonerated once this came out, because we had put out a memo where we had said that this dossier or the dirt was used to get a FISA warrant. We were exonerated last weekend. But now, if you look at what they were saying, they said, oh, but the really juicy stuff, it's actually the really stuff that proves collusion and how bad Carter Page really was and how they were colluding with the Russians, that's what's redacted. Well, that was kind of the news for 48 hours. But once the left and the media found out that the House Republicans on the Intelligence Committee had asked back in June for the president to declassify up to 20 pages, you hear crickets. You hear nothing. You don't hear them. They don't want that unredacted. They don't want transparency for the American people. So the president has the letter from us. I think his lawyers are looking at this to see if they can declassify it sooner rather than later. But the sooner this comes out, the better off we all are, because what I've said is what's left that's redacted, the American people really need to know what's underneath there.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask you about, because I read the op-ed this weekend with you in the Wall Street Journal, and it's titled Devin Nunes, Washington's Public Enemy #1. And in it you say, if people think using the Clinton dirt to get a FISA is bad, what else that's in that application is even worse. And you identify a specific number of pages in the letter you sent to President Trump that need to be redacted. Can you tell us anything about what could possibly be even worse than using an unverified piece of nonsense to actually get a warrant to spy on an American citizen?
Well, and therein lies the problem, right? So the mainstream media and the left, they can run out and say, well, what's really bad in there is the stuff that the public can't see. It's redacted. But the reality is that's not the case. Those of us who have been providing oversight over this issue, we've had several of our members who have been painstakingly going through it piece by piece, and we are quite confident that once the American people see these 20 pages, at least for those that will get real reporting on this issue, they will be shocked by what's in that FISA application.
Has the president read the unredacted portions?
I have no idea what the president has or has not read. Okay. All I know is that we sent him a letter back in June asking him to declassify those 20 pages or more. I mean, if they can declassify, the more the better. But I think the bulk of what we would like to see are 20 pages in the last FISA that was signed by the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
You know, it seems that the midterm elections become that much more important. The stakes are so high on these midterm elections. We wouldn't know any of this stuff without your committee and your colleagues at Judiciary and Oversight. We wouldn't know half of the stuff that took place in the 2016 elections. What happens if the House flips and the Democrats take the majority in the House come the midterm elections?
Well, that is what I said in the Wall Street Journal interview. Yeah, the Wall Street Journal interview over the weekend, I stated that I am quite confident, because I've seen this game played many times before. There's a stall game going on at DOJ and FBI. They're trying to stall as much as they can, hoping and betting that Republicans would lose the House in the fall. And if that happens, then it shuts down everything. Rod Rosenstein will not be held in contempt. FBI will not be held accountable. All these investigations will shut down. Everything will be buried. And you'll be left with media narratives saying, oh, what the public can't read, what you really can't read, what's blacked out, that's the really bad stuff against Carter Page and the Republicans in the Trump campaign. That's why the sooner the president declassifies this, the better. And I think the American people need to understand how important it's going to be to get out and vote in this election.
Well, tell us where your investigation stands right now. Is Rod Rosenstein performing? Do you think his leadership is encouraging them to be up front and show us justice?
Well, what I can tell you is that there was a move late last week to begin impeachment. I think there are grounds for impeachment, and we should hold them accountable. I think Congress has given up way too much power. The way I understand it is that the Judiciary Committee and Oversight Committee got commitments on Friday. I think the Speaker also got commitments, from what I understand, that documents will be provided. So we're short a few documents. We are supposed to see those this week. But in addition to that, interviews/depositions will begin over August. So we will have members of Congress that will be flying back to Washington during August to conduct interviews with very important witnesses that need to be interviewed as it relates to getting to the bottom of this Russiagate scandal.